I'm Heather Wenzel, and you're listening to You Unpacked, the quirky travel podcast that gets off the beaten path and into what really matters most. We focus on Italy and tell stories about travel that has shaped our lives. Follow and review us if you like our content, and check us out on Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, and at www.youunpacked.com. I'm a little worried about this conversation because as soon as I asked you to chat, you got yourself an alcoholic beverage. So what's that about?
Oh, just loosen up, probably,
Okay. So we're going to talk about Milan today, and it's the 1-year anniversary of when we spent almost 2 weeks there.
Yes.
It started on May 1st, and went on from there, and it's practically May 1st now. So it's been 1 year. If we don't capture what we remember now, we probably never will, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, so good place to start. So we spent 2 weeks in northern Italy, and we started in Milano, and then we went north to Lake Como, and then into Switzerland, into Lugano, and north even farther. So today we're going to talk about the first part of that trip, 4 days in Milan. And then the next time we chat, we're going to talk about a very exciting motorcycle trip up into Switzerland, which probably will be the more exciting part of the conversation. Although there is some very interesting things that happened while we were in Milano also. So I'm excited to talk about it. So I'm curious to hear from you. What's the first thing that you remember about Milan?
After the Uber ride to the hotel, which was very stressful.
Why?
Well, after getting off the airplane all night and first thing in the morning, always stressful for me.
You're not a very happy traveler. We'll just say that.
Yes, I don't like being confined. That hotel, it was different. The hotel was very, not what I had imagined when we first walked in.
How so?
It was just a vertical hotel, very small, very narrow. And then the room was just a room, actually just a room. And we had the bed and the refrigerator and then the bathroom off the balcony.
So the room was very small.
Yes.
Do you remember our suitcase? We're trying to figure out where the suitcase might be able to be opened perfectly.
We couldn't have both suitcases laying down at the same time to find our outfits because there was not enough room.
Only one, yeah. Yeah, so we were staying at a B&B hotel, Milano San Ambrogio. So that's the district in Milan that we were staying in, which I would highly recommend. Super safe, very central, very quiet.
Absolutely. Even though it's very small, that's probably where I would want to stay again. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking about earlier when you were asking talking about.
So the one thing I really liked about that hotel was the balcony.
That was, when we first stepped down there and you could see the city skyline, not the entire skyline, but from where we were at, you could see a lot of the city. And that was very nice. And the building next door, which we didn't know, well, we could probably get to that on day 4, but that was, and the building next door is very intriguing. The rooftop, it had a nice dome to half of it. And we thought it was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was the National Science Museum and Technology. So the Leonardo da Vinci Museum, although there's other folks whose work is featured in there too. It's the largest exhibition of Da Vinci machines, I think, in the world. And we never ended up going there. But interestingly, the dome that we were looking at is actually a church. So it's part of the museum, but it's actually a church. And so there was church bells often, and there was this really interesting pattern of birds. So you would sit out there and the sun is beating down, and there's this massive lilac tree that is just in full bloom. And I always think it's remarkable when I'm here and see a plant that, for me, spring is lilacs. So I love that. And of course, in Milan, they're about 3 or 4 weeks ahead of us in upstate New York. So we've been, the beginning of May, it's absolutely freezing at home. And we come and the weather is gorgeous the first few days that we're there. So they have all these loungers and we're laying out and I'm watching the birds flying in these patterns. And you could sit out there for an hour and just kind of space out, zone out and soak up the sun. It was really fabulous.
Now, mind you, we didn't know anything about the Leonardo Museum at the time. Every time the bells ring, which seemed like a lot. We were trying to coordinate it to what time of the day the bells were going out. And it wasn't until day 4 we realized that the people that were taking tours to this museum were actually ringing the bells. So it wasn't tied to any time.
I forgot about that. They went on and on forever. And all these people were like standing in line. I think we looked it up.
Yeah.
An experience you could have was ringing the bells in this tower. Yeah, that's crazy. So that's a cupola. And it's the San Vittore al Corpo is the name of the church. And we were almost like vertical to it from our balcony. So it's a little bit higher than us. Built in the late 1500s. So that's about 450 years ago. And yeah, just gorgeous spot to be. We were lucky to be there.
Yes.
So do you remember after we checked in, and of course we really barely slept, but that doesn't generally stop us on vacation. Do you remember what the first thing was that we did? I'll give you a hint. It involves eating.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Pizza. Yeah. I can't remember the place that we went, but yeah, we walked to it. Pizza. And I had pizza, but what did you didn't have pizza?
I don't know about that. I thought that I did have pizza, but we also had fried pizza. Do you remember? Pizza.
To start the course, we had fried pizza.
And you were really surprised because I told you, listen, Italians don't share their pizza. Like, that's a no-no. And now Italians like to share their beer, which is a no-no, like in the UK and really in the US, nobody would share beer with each other. That seems really strange. Well, in Italy, it's really strange to share your pizza with anyone. And so you get a fork and knife, and I've got this great shot of you with this massive pizza, and you're like, how am I going to eat this thing?
We have wine, too. I remember we had wine as well. We finished with cappuccino.
Well, not cappuccino after lunch. I probably made you have an espresso.
What?
Yeah, it's not appropriate to have a milk-based coffee drink after a meal. So I looked, and I think I know that the name of this place was called Da Zero. And what I didn't realize at the time, and what I know now, is that it was a Cilento style of pizza, which comes from southern Italy, the pizza fritta or the fried pizza from the Campania region. So we were getting something that was not Milanese when we ate. I didn't know it, but the pizza was fabulous.
Yeah, and trying to get the bill at the end. That was our first interaction with the bill. We had to walk up to the counter like we were going to leave and pay up there at the time.
Yeah, so that's generally in most places in Italy, you'll find that. Not everywhere. Sometimes I think they cater to tourists and bring you your bill, but ideally you go up to the till and ask to pay. And somehow, remarkably, most of the time they remember what you ordered, or you go through it line by line.
Yes.
And say, yes, I got that. Yes, I got that. No, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a great meal. And what were you thinking about the portion size this time? Because I think that was something that came up for you a lot.
Yeah, obviously getting your own pizza and then worrying about making sure you finish everything you have. Sometimes they find that if you don't finish what you ordered, it's rude.
Yeah, you're going to be asked whether you liked it or not.
Yeah.
I found that less so in other areas, but really noticed that a lot in Milan. That if you didn't finish your meal, there was a question about whether you liked it.
Now, when we left there, did we go grocery shopping?
I
Or
don't
was that
remember.
pay too? Trust me, if you need to shop in Italy, it's hard to find a grocery store.
In the city, anyway.
Yeah. I think we ended up walking 4 miles that day for that one.
We went to was that a Sunday? I don't know. I think it was a Sunday because every store we went to was closed. We're like, we just need some water and soda for a room. Yeah, I forgot about that. So then I think we went to the castle. So one really cool thing about Milan, and I'll just say I did not really want to go to Milan. That was not the point of the trip. We'll get into why we chose Northern Italy really was to see a bridge in Switzerland that you have been wanting to see for a long time. And I really was like, I don't like fashion. I feel like it's going to be uptight. I really don't want to do much in Milan. Let's spend one day in Milan and then we'll do other things. And what I realized just about as soon as we got there, Milan is a wonderful city. It's very walkable. People are very kind. It's clean. It feels very safe. It's a great city.
What was the protest they were having at the time?
Oh,
Yeah. I know we tried to go down the one way and the cops told us to go the other way.
Yeah.
The way around it.
I
I
don't
forget what
remember
that was
now.
for.
Something political.
Yes.
But even that was
No, it was calm.
well managed.
Very calm.
Yeah, so we went to the castle, which I honestly don't think I planned much for like what we were going to do the first day. And I wanted to ask you, how do you rate my travel planning in regards to the Milan portion? What one grade would you give me?
Because I have to travel, probably a 2. No. I would say probably a 9 out of 10. Like you stated, we took our honeymoon all based around this picture of a bridge that I saw, 5 or 6 years ago. And yeah, I would say a 9 because we did a lot when we were in Milan for 4 days.
We weren't even in Milan most of the time.
No.
So we're really just, I think the first day we're just walking around, right? We're totally jet lagged. I think it's important to mention that when you've just had a red eye, you feel like shit.
Yes.
And we've had some alcohol at lunch. And so we go to the castle, Castillo Sforzesco. I think I'm saying that right. I'm sure someone is going to say that I'm not. But yeah, built in the 1400s, absolutely gorgeous. And all kinds of people hanging out. Like, what was your impression of that?
I guess just old. That's the first thing. Everything you see in Italy is old. And, how it's withstood stand time. I wouldn't say
Time.
Yeah, just occurred. Yes.
You remember inside it, there was a lot of people like picnicking and hanging out. And there was a park near it too.
Correct. We have some good pictures from the outside of that. Really, when we were in the center of it, what was there? Oh, the trees that grew around the trellis that was there. That's where I was taking a picture there around. Just massive. I mean, they're standing in the center line trying to think about what they were using it for in the times. Just imagine the stands that were in there at the time and what people were doing because it was large on the inside.
Yeah, I wonder, and I don't know all the history of it, but that was probably one of the only safe places to be, right? Where you were around solid walls. I didn't realize at the time either that Michelangelo's last sculpture there's several museums inside the castle is housed there also. We didn't have the time to do any of that, but that I'm sure you could spend several hours checking that out.
We did walk over and go into the part where they talked about some battles at one time where we were up top looking down at the square. It was neat.
Yeah. And I had forgotten until I looked at our photos. I can't believe I forgot this part. We went and got dinner, but after we went there and all the lights were on, and there's a lot of castles and a lot of famous buildings in Italy that are lit up in a way at night that is just, you are missing out if you don't go back.
Yeah.
And which is great because you eat really late. And so you're up when it's dark. We went back and not only was the castle lit up in a way that was absolutely fabulous, and I'll put a picture of it when I edit this so folks can see it, but also the fountains. Do you remember the fountains in the front were also lit up underneath?
Yeah, I'm glad we went back because seeing that at night with all the people sitting around, yeah. Spectacular.
Well, yeah, and it's just the classic kind of hangout location that happens in Italy everywhere where people are really just enjoying each other's company in a way that you don't necessarily see here.
Yeah.
Without that sense of urgency. Yeah. Little kids running around late at night, having a ball. Yeah. And I don't remember where we went for dinner that night, but I was looking at the photos and I think we had some like classic pasta. Cacio e pepe, I think is what I had, which is kind of an interesting dish because all it is pecorino and pepper with pasta. And you'd think, man, you can't create something very good around that. But yes, you can. That's a Roman dish, not a Milanese dish. But still, I have a picture of that. So it must be I was thinking it was pretty fabulous. And our last picture we took that night was at 9 p.m., which I think is pretty good, seeing how we had been up all day. So we managed to, I think, stay up quite a while.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what you thought about the travel planner deciding that we were going to go to Venice on day 2. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I had been to Venice previously, but that was in probably 2012, 2014. If I had warned you about Venice. But it's something you have to see. You have to try it out.
I had never been. Yeah. And we were so close.
Yeah. we took the train out, which was nice. You got us our own little table, and
Oh, we were in first class,
yes,
which was like an extra, I don't know, 50 euros.
Yeah.
Not very much.
But it's worth it to be able to relax without people next to you.
Well, yeah, and we played a lot of cribbage. So to have a table is nice for that.
And to see the sights as you're driving by as well.
Well, and you love the train. Like, you'd prefer to travel by train.
Because you can move around.
Yeah, and the bathroom's easily accessible. It's super comfortable. Everybody's really nice. There's a beverage cart with food.
And if you're visiting, I would advise to take the train as well, too. It's easier. It's faster to take directions.
They say that Italian trains, especially the regionale or the local trains, tend to be like really delayed, which I haven't traveled by train a ton in Italy. I did it in the early 2000s, but not lately. But we didn't find that. The train station is still tricky. I found it tricky in the early 2000s, like virtually impossible to figure out. Still kind of tricky now to make sure you're on the right platform. There's nowhere to sit. So if you have a hard time standing, that would be tough. And don't think you're going to use the bathroom there. It's very complicated.
Yes. But to get to the train station, I believe we also subway.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we used the subway. You were like on it.
Yeah, because you just got to do it. You got to try things that are different. But trying to get tickets for the subway.
Remember, I'm like stuck at the till and there's a bunch of angry Italians behind me. Like, I can't get through the gate.
Yeah, the lady behind us, a little old lady behind us, and it's like an ATM station. So we're trying to figure out how to use it. Of course, it's not English. So Heather's doing most of the reading and I'm pushing the buttons. And we can't figure it out, but we have to download an app. And then as soon as we download the app and create our own account, you're buying tickets right there. So you know what subway we needed to get to the train station. And we did that 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, we did the whole time. And it was super cheap.
It was much easier than waiting for a car.
Well, yeah, and Ubers are more expensive. And it just feels more, I don't know, you can just kind of see where you end up.
The thing was €8 and you ride to the pretty much.
Yeah, it was super cheap. Yeah. Okay, so I'm curious in your comparison of Venice in 2012, 2014 versus Venice in 2025.
So in 2014, there was a lot of people, very narrow alleyways. It's very hard to get the square, to see the tower. It was an experience, and everybody needs to go. But in Milan, it's just a bunch of narrow alleyways. You get to the square, you see the square, you have a cup of coffee, you go in the bell tower, and then you walk all the way back out. But in 2025, it had become very Americanized.
We were there kind of at an off
Time.
It was the beginning of May, not even in the summer.
Now, when I was there, you were walking down all these alleyways, just people trying to get to the square. But when we went back in 2025, those alleyways were stuffed full with tchotchkes, memorabilia, and magnets and stuff. Like it was right in your face the entire time trying to get to the square.
Yeah, I was shocked. I had never been to a place in Italy that felt like Disney World. And I don't know, every time I saw a person who looked like maybe they lived there, I just thought, man, what would it be like to live here being surrounded by tourists all the time? I know there's beautiful places. Treviso outside of Venezia. Venice is supposed to be a beautiful place to stay. There's canals there too. I just have some people who are traveling with me this summer who are doing a pre-trip and asked for some advice around Venice there. And I discourage them from staying in Venice. I haven't stayed there, but I don't think I would want to. And they opted to stay because they wanted to be central. And I'll be very interested to see what they say, because it felt like Disney World as far as trying to move around.
But you have to see it. That's the bad part, is you have to see where you're there and how much longer is it going to be there.
Yeah, so it was built on mud and stick that now have turned into stone through lack of oxygen, I guess. And so the whole concept of it is kind of fascinating anyway. So before we go to the square, though, we have lunch.
Well, how many bridges? How many bridges are there?
I can't remember.
That's timeless too, isn't it? like 447 or so. We're going to look
That's
that up, but it was like 447 different bridges on Venice.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody has to see it, but we probably had one of our best dining experiences in Venice.
Right on the main drag.
Yes, like.
I feel like I must have been really hungry, or I was like, it's only going to go downhill from here. We better eat.
So I will tell you, if you're going to travel, you should marry a beautiful woman who is going to learn the language, because that's the only way you're going to experience a lot of things that happen there. We got into that restaurant just because you can speak some Italian. And then after we got in the restaurant, I think that Indy realized we were not Italian.
I managed to keep it up for a few minutes.
We got into the restaurant, we got sitting down, we didn't notice it at first, and then I'm a people watcher, so, I'm watching the restaurant and trying to capture everything and remember everything. And I said, they just turned that guy away. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, they just turned that guy in his family. We had little kids. And then they kept turning people away, except for these people that this old guy came in, and they had matching shirts.
It's the gondolier.
Well, I wasn't going to get there. Yeah, I was going to let them all know. But yeah, they let a couple of people in, and then a couple more. They all have the same style of shin tie. And of course, you were like, it's kind of weird, maybe football or something. But then come to find out, it was all the gondoliers in the area. This is where they came to eat. So,
yeah.
Even though they knew we were Americans after we got set, he had a great conversation with us.
Oh, yeah, he was willing to talk with me in Italian, and that's when my Italian was, not that my Italian is good now, but my Italian was not great then at all. It was very minimal. Although I was able to get us through several meals with no English, but a little bit tough. He was very kind. But what was so interesting is this one American really wanted to eat there. And since I've looked up the restaurant online, and it's the Venezia Trattoria da Bepi Gia 54. So a trattoria is kind of in between a really family style place and fancy place. So you've got trattoria, then osteria, then ristorante. So there's 3 different types of restaurants. So you're going to be kind of a mid-range or low range in a trattoria, more like a family type setting. Although I thought it was fairly fancy. But there was the American who came back and tried to eat again and was like, can we just sit outside? And they were like, every single seat outside was empty. And they were just like, no, like no conversation. No. So if you'd ever been in a restaurant and you feel like they are purposefully trying not to make money, that was this place.
Yes. And it was random. I mean, people just crowding to buy. It was on the main drag.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it has great ratings online. So we started with oysters, which you won't eat.
Yeah.
They were divine. And of course, you're on the ocean there, so you should be trying seafood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I remember I had tagliatelle or with asparagus and scallops. Do you remember what you had?
No.
And I think we had after that or at some point something with pesto too.
Correct. I remember that.
How about the dessert?
No.
You don't remember?
No.
So I'm not going to pronounce this right. I never do. Millefoglio. So that was
like the cream on the inside.
Cream, fruit, thin slices of pastry. You see it in French dishes a lot, but it's also an Italian dessert. And what was your biggest criticism about Italian desserts while we were there?
It wasn't. No.
Enough what? I know fruit.
Fruit. Yes. Fruit.
So what did you come to start doing?
Well, we didn't run into that.
Brunate, Lake Como, when you started buying your own fruit and getting your dessert to go.
So you did fruit on it. We still did that in Milan, though, and we finally found that grocery store. I think that's where we got the fresh strawberry.
A fruit, the fruit and vegetable stand.
Yeah, if you ordered dessert was a strawberry mousse, I think they shaved kind of the strawberry.
And it was strawberry season. The strawberries were divine. They were like so divine. So we had the greatest meal there. Oh my goodness, they were so kind. And so then we go to Piazza San Marco. And what did you think about that compared to the last time you had been there?
Well, like you said, more people, very stands everywhere, selling everything. It really wasn't until I took you out to see the water at the end of the pier, really, where you felt a little, could kind of relax a little. And then I did get you to go to the tower. Now, when I had gone in the tower, I have video of it somewhere. Just as we got to the top, all the bells started ringing. But we went up there this time.
I didn't want to stand in the line. It seemed like it was going to be long, and I was already feeling annoyed. And it was hot, too.
Yeah. But we still did it.
We did. It was amazing. The view up there was amazing. And that made me realize that there's all kinds of other neighborhoods around Venice that I'm sure were much less populated than where we were. I think if you want to go and see the piazza, which of course everyone wants to, that is really busy. But I bet if you had a boat or you got off on there's a lot of area there that I'm sure is not filled with tourists.
Yeah, I would say probably most of us only see 10% of Venice. You just go across the bridge and you're following all the signs to get to the square, and then trying to follow the signs to get back out.
And most of the side streets were like dead ends too.
Yeah, it almost seems like some of the alleys we took, it almost seemed like you were on the backside of everything.
Yeah, and you kind of felt like you were supposed to be there. I don't know. I also just had this feeling of like unease the whole time I was there, that this beautiful city was being ruined. Like, I feel like we heard more English being spoken there than Italian while we were there.
I think some of the conversation we had with our server at that restaurant was about how he just comes there to work now. He can't live there. He lives on there because of 40.
Well, yeah, and I think people all over the world, but maybe more so in Italy, choose to live where they were born. It's almost a situation where you really wouldn't want to if you happen to be raised in that area, which I think is really sad. So interesting thing that I learned after about the St. Mark's Tower is that it was built in the 800s, but then collapsed suddenly in 1912 with no warning. The whole tower just fell down. No one was hurt, which, I mean, if that happened today, there'd be like mass casualties if it happened during the day, right? And so they rebuilt it in the same exact style and way that it was built previously. Now, you have to wonder if like something to do with the fact that Venice was built on a swamp had to do with it. There was a little garden we walked in, and then, of course, we had our gondola ride. So that was timed, and that was super expensive to book. So that was a couple €100 anyway. I don't even think I told you how much it was. It was a ton. And you have to do it because you're there. And it was nice. It was beautiful.
Just like once we got away from the main drag where the gondola picked us up, it became quiet. Did run into that tanker-looking ship that drove by us.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like that's how they're doing a lot of the construction work around it. Off of that.
Yeah. Well, and we were there almost at the same time as Jeff Bezos' wedding.
Yes.
So I wonder if there was extra crowds because of that.
Potentially.
Remember, they were floating gondolas that had blow-ups of figures of him?
Yeah.
There was a lot of people unhappy about that.
Yes. Because tourism is great, but I think in the city they're starting to feel it too much.
Well, and it's happening in a lot of areas. Anyway, Tuscany is another area. Mass tourism is starting to really impact the culture. So I think part of sharing some of this travel experiences with people is opening up our eyes to all the other places that are less traveled, like the second half of our trip after we got out of Lake Como, where there's not a lot of tourism happening at all, and probably some of the best places that we ever went to. So if you were going to ask me, would you put Venice on your top 50 of Italy? I can tell you I'd say no. No.
It's an experience that if you had the chance to go see, but I would not plan a trip around.
I agree. And staying there multiple days, I think, would be unpleasant.
Yeah.
Unless you had the kind of money to get a private boat and go to a private island or something, which I'm sure there's those options.
But I would say if you're in the area and you have a free day, it is a place you go check out once.
Yeah. And from Milan, it was super easy. And
hour and a half?
Yeah, right. Sure. So we just did this in a one-day trip. So we hopped back on the train. Now I want to talk about the beverages that we picked up before we got on the train, because I'm very curious if you remember. So I'll start so you can think about what you may have been drinking. So I got a beautiful Prosecco mini, and it was a Canella Valdo Biandene Prosecco, which is the highest quality area for Prosecco. And Prosecco is in the Veneto region, so it's grown just outside of Venice. And of course, if you go to Venice, you must drink the Prosecco because it is beautiful, wonderful. Also, it's not very expensive. So I got this mini that I didn't even know if it was any good at the time and looked it up and realized, wow, I'm drinking like superstar Prosecco right now. Not the best, but pretty darn good. You, on the other hand, who are not a big fan of wine, decided to get some vodka minis and this iced tea.
Yes. Yes.
And it was probably the worst mixed drink I've ever had in my life.
Well, it wasn't the worst drink I've ever had. I always had the lawnmower drink.
Eric,
Yes.
I'll let you order a second.
Yeah, I
In a Michelin star restaurant. I'll have the grass drink again.
Yes. Yeah. But it was terrible. I didn't finish it. I think I left it.
You didn't drink it.
No, I didn't.
You're not a big drinker anyway.
But it's probably just a train station vodka bottle. And I think might have been like a brisk lippy iced tea. And it was terrible.
Well, it just goes to show the beautiful thing about Europe is you can buy wine anywhere. And even if it costs a couple euros, when you look it up online, you realize it's fabulous. You've just drank something from like the best region in the best area.
Yes.
So you can't go wrong. When I was in Tuscany a few weeks ago, I bought a bottle of wine, the most expensive bottle of wine in the grocery store for 26 euros. I come back and realize I got this like great bottle of wine. It probably would have been like $100 in the US.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Okay, so I took no pictures of dinner that night. I think we were exhausted. I wonder if we even went out to dinner.
If I can recall, I think we might have had the...
Maybe some aperitivos.
There were a couple of nights that we were tired of home. We just did the plain potato chip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of nights we had plain.
Well, there's excellent potato chips in Italy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you don't want to screw on those. I just had 2 bags of them last time I was there. They're delicious. Okay, so day 3, I want to talk about the cafe that was down the road from our hotel that we went to several times because they were open earlier than anywhere else. What do you remember about that cafe?
No, are you talking about the one on the left or the one on the right?
The one on the left.
The one on the left here had to chase the guy out of the shop.
Oh, yeah, they were really nice about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, after they got him out of the shop. But...
yeah, so what happened?
Well, we went in there and there was somebody that...
was unhoused.
Was unhoused and wanted to have a cup of coffee and had the money for it, but they just did not want him in the cafe with the rest of the diners. So they shooed him out, and then he went over and made him a cup of coffee and put all the creamer and everything in it and the sugar and brought it out to him and gave it to him. And of course, the gentleman tried to pay him, but the owner wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
Which is, first when you shoot away, of course, you're like, oh, that's not right. But then when he provided the service to him and didn't charge him, that was very nice. Like the rest of everybody else that we've met in Italy.
Sometimes you have to see things in their totality to understand what's really happening instead of knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, because knee-jerk reaction was,
right?
Well, yeah, I would have like a copy and take it to him.
Yeah.
And then when he watched it all unfold, he did what we would have done.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was probably the best cornetto or croissant that I've had in some time. In fact, I was just in Tuscany for 2 weeks and did not have a croissant that was nearly that good. So a cornetto con marmoletta, which is jam. So strawberry jam, I think. And it was delicious. It was also whole wheat.
But I always got I don't want to say the berry cream, but that's not what it was. That's the one that I always got.
Con crema.
Yeah. I would fly back there for one.
Yeah, for cornetto con crema.
In the morning, fresh made like that. Oh,
I'm having a terrible time because there's 100 different names for pastries in Italy, and I'm really trying to learn them, but it's very challenging. And in fact, they call the same pastry. Now, I'm sure it's not the same. Someone would be upset if I said that. A similar pastry in different regions by different names. So a cornetto in the south of Italy is a brioche. So very confusing. You also have to know where you are. So do you remember what we did on day 3? This was our 100% Milan day.
Was that last supper day?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. So meanwhile, our hotel is a stone's throw from the last supper.
Yeah, another real positive to that, to San Ambrogio as a region to stay.
I think it was 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 blocks away. And you had bought the tickets 6-7 months ahead of time?
A long time.
Yes.
That's not something that you can purchase a few weeks ahead of time. If you want to see the Last Supper, you better get on buying those tickets. And they're not cheap.
This is where we have to pause because we don't have any sponsors. But if somebody did want to sponsor us, we love to drink.
We do now love to drink. Truly goodness. Yeah, so the Last Supper, I'll start and then I'll let you I'm curious hearing your perspective. The Last Supper is actually in a Dominican church/convent. So the Santa Maria della Grazie. And it's an interesting location. I think, trying to think back before I seen the Last Supper, I don't think I really knew that it was painted on a wall. And it's not even technically a fresco because a fresco involves a wet application. And this was actually painted on a dry wall, which created a lot of issues for keeping it up after that because it's not as durable.
Originally, wasn't it painted on the wall of the stable?
Well, yeah. So interestingly, when it was painted back in the 1600s, it took about 3 years to paint. Da Vinci, obviously. Yeah, it was in a stable, but that ended up being a place for monks to eat. And so you're supposed to look at the painting and reflect on it while you're eating. But a really interesting thing happened I think it was in the late 1600s. The monks decided that they wanted a more direct route into their kitchen. So they cut a hole in the bottom of the Last Supper to make a door so they could go into the kitchen. So you don't see that. I think people Photoshopped that in photos of the Last Supper, but there's this arc like this where Jesus's feet are gone because they've cut them off.
Yeah. And what years was it bombed? And that was
So
the
it
only
was-
wall that was left.
It was bombed in 1943 during World War II. So this is super fascinating, and I'm not religious, but you have to wonder, the entire place was destroyed except for the wall that the Last Supper was on.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I've seen a lot of things, but I would say that was one of those moments where you're used awestruck. You walk into a room that's probably 40 foot wide, probably 80 foot long. And we were there with a very small group. I think our group might have had 11. And it's just quiet and you can stay there as long as you want, but it's just, just awestruck. You can't explain it.
And it's so interesting. It's like temperature controlled by multiple doors. So you have to go in one door, then the door shuts, and then another door opens, and you go in the other door.
Well, doesn't the first door also have this atmosphere in there that
put something like cleans you off or something.
So contaminants.
Yeah, so your toxins don't go in.
But we were there, it's just 20 minutes, or we could just stand there.
And we had a nice tour guide who gave us a lot of information. They say that you really need to do it that way. Book it through Viator is the site that I use most of the time when I book excursions in Europe.
You can't explain it.
Yeah, your hair is like standing up.
Yes. And even though people are trying to talk, but you don't even hear the people talking because you're just so focused on the painting.
Yeah, and it's not like Lear like big into art.
No Alba. Yeah.
I felt the same way about the Mona Lisa.
I did. Although you realize all the people out there.
The Mona Lisa, yeah. It's so funny because I just saw someone went and saw the Mona Lisa a couple weeks ago, and I saw on Facebook that they had gotten a shot without any people in it, which you have like 1 second. So you're like jostling 300 people, and everyone is moving in this weird rotation, and you get a second. You're like, take the picture. I got a good picture of our boy in front of it, but it's an entirely different experience. When you see the Last Supper, you are one of very few people. You can see it unobstructed as long as you like. Very different. Anyway, amazing experience. Yes, Ian, within walking distance, like 5 minutes from San Ambrogio. So another great reason to stay in that area if you're interested in that. Walkable really to everything, if you don't mind walking a bit. But in Europe, if you're not walking 10 miles a day, you're not living when you're traveling, right? Bring a lot of Band-Aids. That's my advice. They get a lot of blisters. So then we go directly to the Duomo, which I've been to a lot of churches in a lot of European cities, but I have to say the Duomo is hard to beat.
Especially with our semester that you got as well, too.
Yeah, so the rooftop tour.
That was...
So we saw the rooftop before we went inside.
Yeah, I think we started, you went out the back, so you went around the back, you went up the top, and then started your tour along the entire rooftop. But then you came down on the opposite core into Duomo, and then we toured the inside, sat on the benches for a while.
Yeah, we had a hard time figuring out where to go in.
Yeah.
It wasn't really clear.
And then, so, of course, you figure out, oh, you got this ticket, you got to go to D4 on the back, and then go...
The front line was long.
Right.
The top, it was amazing, the views from the top. They say that you can see the mountains depending on the weather.
I just don't see something happen like that here in the United States. Like, they're not going to allow 1,000 people on, 80 feet in the air on the rooftop of this ancient building. I just don't see that happening.
So it was a little bit like, and you wouldn't want to be too heavy and go up there, I don't think, because some of the walkways are like really narrow. So,
and it's precarious. I mean,
you could fall off. There's no
there's no guard. Yeah, there's no guard.
Yeah. So it's all white marble, which I think makes it particularly interesting. And most of the Duomo, so the Duomo, all that means is the biggest church in the town. They're using, of course, stones that are mined from local areas, because how long are you going to drag? So the Duomo started in 1386 and finished in 1800s. So you just think about that, the amount of time that people worked on this structure. Yeah, a ton of time. And so the inside, I think, was really crazy, too, as far as the stained glass. So in Barcelona a few years ago, I went with the boys and saw the Sagrada Familia, which is a really famous Duomo in Barcelona. And it rivaled that. And when I saw that, I thought, I will never see stained glass that is better than this. And it just was absolutely epic, I would say. I mean, the teenagers always eye roll about churches, but I think the kids would be very impressed by the Duomo in Milan. It is fantastic.
And everywhere you walk, all the stone that's worn down from all the people traveled over the years. You're going down the stairs, and all the marble stairs are all worn down to... Well,
it's touristy there, but I didn't find it to be like overwhelming or really in a bad way. And I think a lot of Italians are there too, enjoying that piazza around the Duomo. So then we did something very touristy, which I like to avoid. So
you were all about it, though.
I was great.
Look for Duomo.
It was
rooftop.
great.
He's like, I want to eat more of those restaurants right there that you can look at the Duomo.
So sometimes...
I'm rolling my eyes because just imagine the people that are going to around this space eating lunch at lunchtime.
Well, sometimes you have to sacrifice food quality for view, which I don't do very often, because wherever you're at a big landmark, walk 5 blocks into somewhere not near the landmark and then find a place to eat, so that you're not getting an Americanized version. And yeah, I've had some interesting experiences with that over the year. Earlier, Jody and I were talking about a microwaved meal we had near a landmark in Italy that actually came out in microwave plates. But we decide, you're being very kind, and I really want to sit and look at the Duomo and eat my lunch, and I'm ready to forsake the quality of food to do it. So we go, it's a rooftop restaurant called Obica. I looked it up. So you've got this fantastic view of the Duomo.
Is that the one? Is that the restaurant where we had to go around in the back?
Yeah.
Find the...
It was impossible to find the door.
Yeah. No, there wasn't a door. You walked around in the back alley where nobody is. There's nobody in this back alley. And you walk halfway down, and there's this little opening on the left, and you go in there, and then there's just an orange elevator door. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you don't even really know where you're going.
No.
You're just trying.
Yeah.
And I didn't care which of those restaurants we ate at. I just wanted to eat at one of them.
And the orange elevator, I mean, he held 3 people max at the same.
Oh, yeah. It was absolutely tiny. Felt like a death trap.
Yeah.
And we're up like how many stories? So you're at like almost the top of the Duomo looking out.
Yeah, what else it was? 6 or 7?
I feel like it was even more than that. But, sometimes you exaggerate a story after you've been it. So, yeah, a food hall rooftop was what it was called. So we get out of the elevator, and I'm like, shit, this is going to be terrible. So it's like this huge store filled with specialty Italian products that feels just like the duty-free at the airport, right?
It felt like a duty.
Like you've just entered the tourist zone, and I was like, this is going to be terrible. And I didn't think we were going to get a seat.
No.
But we did. And not only that, but we had a fabulous meal there.
It was exceptional.
It was so delicious. So I was looking at the picture, the food that we ate, and it was so fresh. Like it was so, the colors of it were really amazing. So we had prosciutto crudo, pesto, grape tomatoes, and there was that bruschetta with shrimp. But it was absolutely, and the pesto.
Yeah, I got 2 mixed drinks.
You were crazy about the pesto. Yeah, I think they had a good, that's one thing that you kind of miss out on. There's not great cocktail mixes.
But I had a wine.
It was delicious.
It was lowering. Definitely.
We should have eaten less though, knowing what our next meal was going to be.
Was that the same night that we went to the game?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, so we probably went back to our hotel, I don't remember, and probably rested for a bit, maybe on our balcony. And so I made a huge sacrifice in this trip, I just want to say. Yeah. Huge sacrifice. So I had opera tickets for La Scala that I had booked, and it was very complicated to book them. It involved several emails back and forth. And La Scala, of course, is the most renowned opera house in the world.
And you had planned to do both originally. You had gotten us to do both.
I did. And I extended our trip by one night because I didn't want to stay in Milan at all. And we were only supposed to be there 3 days. And so I moved our trip around.
And then there was a cancellation.
Then the Inter Milan game changed days. And just randomly, I got an email and they're like, your game is no longer on this day. It's on that day. And I'm like, what? So we had to make a decision. So I made the decision for us that we were going to go to the Inter Milan game.
I really wanted to see the opera.
You did not. You did not. And I'm so happy that we did because that was really, and so we decided we were going to walk there, which was really far from our hotel.
You know, seeing the Duomo, seeing the Last Supper, those are great. Those are essential. Yeah. Going to the Milan game was probably probably the best story we tell the most, essentially.
Well, more about dinner. That's right. I'm sure
the
Inter Milan game, but yeah.
No, we walked there. Mm-hmm. We did. We walked.
It was a long way. And well, we wanted to see, could we walk home? Because we felt like after the game, getting an Uber was going to be like,
we did walk home too.
Oh, yeah. It was a long fucking walk. It was a really long walk.
Looking back, we should Uber next time.
Next time we go to an Milan Uber.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we need to find a place to eat, and it has to be early because of the game, which in Italy, of course, no one really eats before 7.
But you found a good place review-wise.
I found a good place review-wise. It was opening as early as we needed it to, although we were going to need to get there right when they opened. And so we walked there, and
we did another faux pas. We got there.
Well, we were too early. We tried to get in there a little early, and they were like, no.
We went in to sit down and eat, and they were like, no.
We're not.
Pushed us right back outside.
So tell the story about where we waited to eat in a restaurant. So we found a not so nice place in Milan.
So we leave the restaurant earlier, and we had a half hour or so.
Yeah, we were early.
And we went over, and we were listening to the park. And so we like, we'll sit on this bench. There's a dog walking the park right there. So we sat on the bench and we're just relaxing. And then all of a sudden we had people watching. I'm like, that guy's got beer. And this guy's bringing more beer. And this guy's bringing more beer. It was like the local hangout park for beer drinking.
Dog shitting.
Yeah.
Not completely unmowed. So once you get out of the city, well, and it's early in the spring, right? So it's just the beginning of May, you know, they probably haven't started up. But like everything's a field and the dogs are just shitting everywhere. It's rough.
Not the best part of town. But nobody followed us.
It was just like sitting in the city anywhere around here.
We were the only thing that didn't go in that area.
So I think that we could probably say that there was not any tourists in that part of town while we were there.
No, that's what I mean. We were out of place. So there.
Yeah. Well, and so
the park bench reminded me really of sitting like Brooklyn. You know, there's these cell phone points, little shops, and we were sitting on Park in Brooklyn. And that's what it reminded me.
Working class neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, working class neighborhood. Everybody was getting off work. So We go into the restaurant at our allotted time.
Oh, no, we were standing there. When they opened the door, we went.
We're like the only people there at first. They're already like eye roll, like these effing Americans.
There was a couple that showed up at the same time when we came back the second.
Yeah.
And they went in first, and we followed them in. So they got seated first. And when I say seated, I think there was only two-person tables in this place.
Yeah, I think maybe another room had some larger tables, but it was really small. So it's a Solo Maria. So it's not like a fancy restaurant. It's a place to eat smoked meats is how I would describe it.
Yeah. So they were kind. I don't think they were as nice because we went. So the ladies were like, what would you like? And of course, we ordered whatever we were drinking. You ordered some wine, and I ordered just probably.
So I want to talk about the wine because I tried to get a wine that you wanted to drink, a Gewürztraminer, which is a wine that is grown in northern Italy in the Alto Adige region. And so it's near Austria. So we get this beautiful bottle of wine. Usually Gewürztraminer, in my experience, is a little bit sweet, but this was not. So you didn't like the wine. So immediately I have an entire bottle of wine to drink, which I'm thinking, okay, we're going to an interval game after. So like, what's the harm? I probably can try to polish this off. I think I did a pretty fair job of it. But so we order, nothing is in English, obviously. And I am not a fan of using an app to translate. I want to try to understand what's on the menu.
And our server didn't speak English. No, it's not like she couldn't help us.
No. So we're ordering in Italian. So I order a tagliere di salumi, which is a plate of smoked meat.
She does say, she's for one or for two.
That was our big mistake.
And well, for two, there's two of us, so we want two.
Now we know if someone asks portion size, pick the smaller size.
Yes. So we set for two. And then I think we ordered what we thought was bruschetta.
Yeah, we ordered the bruschetta and there was pistachio on top, lots of pistachios.
So that comes out first. And it was 4 loaves of bread.
No, it was 4 baked.
I mean, it looked like 4 loaves of bread with the
So there was some, I don't know. There was,
paste.
I think there was also like prosciutto, something like maybe chopped up with some olives. Yeah.
And then they brought our platter of meat. So Heather and I are like, oh, great. So we're eating the bread. And I think I ate a whole piece of bread. And then we're eating the meats. And she said, oh, this is this. And I thought for a second, but I didn't say anything. And we just ate. And we're about 3/4 of the way through. And she comes out with this other plate of meat. And we're like, oh, no. And the couple next to us says, oh, no.
Yeah, they speak English quite well.
Yeah, the couple next to us like, you guys, we got 4 plates of meat coming. And we're like, oh, they're like, oh, yeah, you ordered for 2. The first one was raw meats.
Well, smoked.
No, the second one was slow.
Oh, the first one was
raw
meats. Which you're not a fan.
No. But
so I'm trying to make a big effort to help you out.
Which one was the first one?
I think the first one had the prosciutto and the first one mortadella, like typical Italian meat.
I think maybe the third one.
So that's when we realized we were eating horse.
Yes. I heard her say horse, but I didn't correlate until
later. You heard the caballo and you realized that was, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it.
When we're talking plates of meat. We're talking serving trays of meat. Then probably have 5 or 6 slices of deli meat in each kind. So,
20 slices at least.
20 slices. The first one might have been smoked. Or the first one was probably dried. The second one was probably smoked. I think the last one was probably raw.
Yeah, like carpaccio style. Thin slice.
And we got to the third one.
You said, I'm out. And you left me. And we don't want to make these people upset, think that we've already come early. My Italian sucks.
I couldn't. We got to the raw one. I ate some of the ones that didn't look so raw, but I said, Heather, you gotta do.
We tried. We had to stop. There was no.
No, we got. I think we did pretty good, but then the 4th platter was all the cheese.
And there were hunks
So-
of cheese.
4 serving platters, 3 serving platters of different meat, and then the 4th one was cheese. After we'd eaten the loaves of bread in our appetizer,
And I had to drink the whole bottle of wine.
I think I don't know if I ate cold cuts since.
Well, you eat American cold.
I know, but for a while we got back, I didn't.
So here, wait till we talk about the next. Oh, we got cold cuts for breakfast.
Well, we went to the game after that, but the next morning, where were we having breakfast?
Nothing.
Oh yeah, the next morning.
And out they come with our complimentary breakfast with a huge plate of smoked meat. You're like, I am not effing eating.
I
refuse.
right over there.
Bill was like 50 euros,
Yeah.
something insane. Like it was so cheap, you couldn't even believe it. And that's the beauty of traveling in Europe, is that whatever you pay for your plane fare, you're making it up. Because if you get out of those touristy areas, that's another beautiful thing about getting off the beaten path. So you have an experience like that, which at the time, like we were ready to bust. But it is the funniest story.
Yeah.
Like we just were so out of our element there. By the end, everyone in the restaurant was just laughing at it. I swear. They're like talking about that. So the couple next to us, do you remember? They really wanted to talk to us.
I wanted to share our meal with them. I just wanted to see them.
I know,
getting
right?
so
But remember, they said they had been to the U.S. twice. They went to New York City and they also went to L.A. And they loved our steak. Thought our steak was just like the best.
I say, yeah, US. The other one was, yeah,
Anyhow, they were very nice
they were.
to tell us what was happening.
They were.
So then we walk a long way
To get to the Milan view.
to get to, I would never do that at night alone, but with you, it was fine. And actually, I felt very safe. I was a little worried about not feeling safe at the Inter Milan game. Like, I just didn't know what to expect. People talk about like stampedes at stadiums and
Yeah, but it was. Everybody's always family. Our entire crowd that we were sitting in there.
we're super nice.
Yeah,
Super nice, yeah.
that was great. Heather got that one for me. Like, yeah.
So, but no one scored any goals except for one goal scored by Inter Milan that was a direct kick. So there's one direct kick.
Yeah.
And so Verona, that's the Hellas, right? And they were out like in force because, of course, Verona is between Milan and Venice, not very far away. So they had a really big showing.
Yeah, that whole right side of the stadium where they were all had to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And there's so many flags and banners and chanting and
it was. I would advise everybody to try that.
yeah.
We had a great time.
So there's a big kind of family feel, but at the same time, there's this feeling of like tension. I suppose and I've been to plenty of NFL games. It's just not quite comparable. Like, I know that NFL fans get obnoxious and over the top, but it was like a different level. There was like I think there's more of a pride around the location that you live, even than I feel in the United States. Like, people were deeply concerned about the outcome of the game. And after we got out, no problem, and walked back, and it was fine.
The walk back was hummus and all that meat.
That was the problem. I wouldn't advise wearing a jersey there. They always say it's safe to not wear a jersey, and that way you're not looking like you're affiliated with anyone. It's like in Siena, they have the horse race in the summer, and each of the different zones in the town have their own colors. Just be careful. Don't show affiliation towards anyone. Then you're not going to get yourself in any weird situation that you weren't planning for. Yeah, so I think that's good advice. Anything else you want to say about Inter Milan?
No. Watch the cold cuts.
Yeah, be careful in the cold cuts. And I'm going to put in the show notes because that Sella Maria was fabulous. You would never.
No.
But it's all tasting menus. You just need to know if you're going to go there, you order for one and you get the tasting menu and you'll be all set.
You have to have a picture of that.
Oh, I have multiple pictures of those platters. Yeah, no, the beautiful, beautiful meat. And it spoiled you for meat. And in Italy, meat is a big part of the experience. So then day 4, we do something. I was ready. For me, 3 days in the city and I want to be out. Like, that's about all. I'm a country girl. And That's about all that I really want. So it was perfect, I thought, on the fourth day. Here we did a really curated experience, which is not what we typically do. In fact, in our next segment, we're going to hop on a motorcycle and go off on a real adventure. So we get this very fancy guided tour of Barolo and Alba for the day. This is a small group Barolo wine tasting.
Now, is this where once we were first introduced to the hazelnuts?
Well, yeah, the beauty of them. Yeah. Yeah. So we did Alba, and then we did some of the Piedmont Hills, which are actually a UNESCO site. And I have to say, is you were going to ask me the top 5 views of my life, this would be in the top 5. It was super expensive. I think it was like almost $500 for the two of us for the day, and we had to buy our own lunch. So not a tour that was cheap. But interestingly, we'll share the name of the vineyard that we went to. It was open, and anyone could have just walked in there if they were in a car or in a bike and just wanted to do it themselves. There's a couple reasons why this trip worked really great for us. One, if you're drinking, you don't want to drive. And so wine tasting is always a good idea to have a tour if you can. The other thing was the castle that we saw on the way back. I don't know that I would have even known that that was there, and that was fabulous.
That's where we got my favorite chocolate, right?
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about
we didn't eat that there. It wasn't until we got home when I ate that.
We didn't realize what we were getting.
Otherwise, you probably would have bought a couple more.
Oh my God, they were like really expensive. Remember, I got up to the registers, like $30 for this bag of chocolates. I was like, or €30. I was like, whoa.
Little bag.
Whoa. So the first thing we do is Alba, which is a fantastic little town known for white truffles. So great place to go in September and October if you want to have fresh white truffles. We were in there in May, which was also a great time to be there. What do you remember about Alba?
I'm stuck on lunch from the hazelnut.
Well, that's the first thing we did was get lunch.
Oh, okay.
We went to that little church, right? There's a little church there that we went to, which was pretty. Nothing fabulous, but interesting. So they gave us the offer to eat lunch with everyone else who was on the tour. And this woman on the tour, oh my God. She was from Long Island.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Man, she was, wow. She was a lot. She was a lot. And she glommed right onto me right from the outset. So our tour guide was super nice. He's like, we can take you into this location. It's great. We can all eat together. And we're like, we're going to go eat by ourselves. We're the only people who didn't eat with the group.
Yes.
So we're in this little alley.
I can't wait to see a photo of that place again. Again, you spoke Italian. I think helped us out.
Well, and they were really just opening.
Yes.
But I was worried about, they only had 3 outside tables. And you know when you get this feeling about a restaurant and you're like, I have to eat there. I don't know if you ever get this feeling. And you're like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get a seat here.
It was beautiful out. The sun was out.
Yeah, and it was lunchtime. It was like 1 o'clock. It was appropriate to ask to be seated, but it was like moments before it got really busy. Yeah. So I had to walk inside, which was a little awkward, and asked if we could sit outside.
Well, the place was empty.
Yes.
When we left.
It was jammed.
Yeah. Even there wasn't a single seat anywhere.
So it was the Osteria dei Sonatori was the name of it. And what really struck me when we first sat down, and they were very friendly, also no one speaking English at all. The menu had no English on it. So thankfully, I was able to kind of figure out what was on the menu.
They had the deli meat on the menu, though. We should have gotten that.
But the taglieri, we picked that up. No taglieri, because taglieri, it might say cheese, but there's probably meat on there also. So we needed a day with no meat. So the menu was handwritten. Do you remember that? So that's a good sign.
Yeah, you knew it changed. It was changed with the season.
Yeah, probably changing every day.
Now, you got the noodles.
Well, first, I got the frittata. So remember, I had like an omelet with asparagus on the side. And there's a lot of asparagus in Italy in the early spring. I found the same thing when I was just in Tuscany. It's fabulous. And a lot of times it's served with eggs. I had it in Tuscany served with 2 eggs over easy and shaved truffles on top just a couple of weeks ago.
I ate some of these berries.
Delicious. Yeah, and then we had 2 other pasta dishes. One had a ton of pesto on it.
Well, that was what I had.
Yeah.
Yours was all the hazelnut. Is it? Yeah. That was where it first got exposed.
I didn't realize the hazelnuts impacted you in that way.
Well, when we got to Brunate, everything else had hazelnuts on it.
Well, it's the best hazelnut shot in the world. And what did we go by?
Hazelnut?
With the big factory we went by.
Hazelnut?
Nutella.
Nutella, yeah.
Yeah, we went by the Nutella factory. We're like, Nutella.
I think we finally brought some home for Katie, too.
Yeah, we brought some Nutella home for Katie. I mean, I think I feel like anything you get that's from Europe and the U.S. has been specifically made for U.S. customers. In my experience, it never is good.
No.
Not even close. And we bought some hazelnuts on our way out from a farmer. There was all kinds of people selling things.
We got fruit there, too. Mm-hmm. We ate strawberries again.
Yep, we got some fruit and we got some hazelnuts, and they were delicious. So we had a meal that we never would have had if we hadn't just walked off the beaten path.
And we had the best lunch. Everybody else there. Everybody else went with the tour guide to the place to recommend.
The Americanized place. Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. So then we went to Canubi, which is a vineyard hill in Barolo. And Canubi, for folks who know things about wine, that's where you want to, if you want to drink good Barolo, it comes from that hill, which is crazy when you think about it. But it's a prized vineyard address. And if it wasn't prized for the quality of grapes that are grown there, it would be prized for review because it is just spectacular. I posted a picture there and people were like, you photoshopped
Yeah,
that.
that was a fake background. That's what everybody says when they see that picture.
Yeah.
I took that picture. Just tell everybody's aware.
Mm-hmm.
Heather always says that I take terrible pictures. I am taking the best picture of her, probably ever.
Yeah, it's a really great picture.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful background.
And then I ended up taking pictures of everybody else in that tour group in the same position.
Oh, yeah, so they have a table set up there. Like, they know, like, this is money. It's just rolling hills, beautiful vines everywhere, so green, probably right at the beginning of May. Like 360 views at this vineyard, just absolutely fabulous. And so this vineyard is the Serio e Battista Borgogno dal 1897. So that means they were established in 1897.
No, it was the first one, the family-owned one?
Yes.
Yes. They did a phenomenal job at our wine tasting.
They were wonderful. I got to drink a Reserva 2019 because I bought the bottle with like 5 other people on our tour. Mm-hmm. So I had this, I don't know, 30 euro glass of wine that was well worth the expense. And that was really, I think, the highlight of that day for me.
And the salty hazelnuts. I drank a lot of the wine. I tried a lot of it.
You did good.
The salted hazelnuts on the table they provided, of course, helped.
Yeah. Well, it was really an amazing experience. I would highly recommend that vineyard.
I think that's where we learned that I like the dessert.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I bought a bottle of grappa and brought it home, although no one particularly cared for it.
Things slap.
We do still have it.
Still have it.
It's a very, very nice bottle of grappa that no one wants to drink. It's like, it's a little strong. So then we headed to the castle, and I don't even know that I knew we were going to go to a castle. I feel like we were both like, oh, we're going to a castle now?
Yeah, we didn't. And then when we walked up there, we didn't know that you go inside at first. Mm-hmm. Like it was very on your own portion of the tour.
Well, yeah, they parked at the bottom of the hill. The parking is horrible there.
Yeah, the small town.
So that's another thing that I think you don't realize if you're just getting tours all the time. Parking is incredibly challenging. And so if you drive there a lot, like I just drove in Tuscany the past 2 weeks, you learn where to park and how to do it. But when you're just getting a tour, you don't really appreciate the work that goes into getting you there.
Now, this is our last day.
In Milan, yeah.
So everybody should know that when we start with you planned this trip, the first half of the trip was going to be rain.
Yes.
So Heather then changed her entire itinerary so that we did Milan first. And it was 85 and sunny.
Every single day.
But on this last day, when we were leaving the castle to come back down to the cheer band, that's when it started.
Oh, and that rain just kept coming for multiple days while we were on the bike.
So you planned this entire trip for us to rent a Harley, see this break. We'd done it so that we were going to rent the Harley first. But then the weather determined you changed it all because it was going to be really rainy and cold. It'd be at 85 and sunny all 4 days, but the last day of our trip in Milan started to rain.
Yeah. But that castle was fabulous.
I wanted to say there was the museum on the one side of it, and we ended up being able to walk through that.
Oh, yeah. So this was the Castello di Granzane Cavour. So that's a UNESCO site.
In a restaurant inside.
So yes, and man, I would like to go back and go to that restaurant.
Yeah.
And also the historic wine shop that is supposed to be the oldest wine shop in Piedmont is inside this castle. And that restaurant, that's on my bucket list.
We didn't get to eat there.
I want to go back there and eat. That's the problem with tours, is that you can't just stop along the way, change your plans, be like, oh, well, we could at least get an aperitivo. Even if we just ate, we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have that option. The views were fabulous there also.
Yeah, that was probably the best part of the entire. I mean, besides one's just comparable.
You didn't like the wines?
I did like the dessert wine. This didn't have enough of that. But no, I really enjoyed walking around that castle.
It was gorgeous. And we got the best hazelnut chocolate.
We didn't know it at the time. We bought the bag because I thought they looked good. We were probably going to give them to somebody or something.
Yeah.
And then they sat here, and then finally one day we got home, I tried them. I think they lasted a day.
Yeah, so the brand is Antica Carboneria Piedmontese. And so that's a tartufino. So it's a truffle, essentially, dusted with dark chocolate on the outside.
Dark chocolate or dark cocoa?
Dark cocoa, yeah. Dark cocoa on the outside and some sort of hazelnut chocolate compilation on the inside. Yeah, benissimo, right? It's absolutely gorgeous. So I tried to order you some for Christmas from the company.
They were different.
And it was a different type.
It was a white one.
I couldn't get some sort of crema.
Yeah, it was a white one.
I couldn't get the same one, but it was like paled in comparison. It was a complete disappointment.
I still ate them.
You didn't eat all of them. They sat in my office for a while.
I think I eventually ate them all.
We got threw a few away later. We did not eat them all. But that was the end of our trip. At least the Milan portion. We went back that night. In the morning, headed out.
I really can recommend that hotel. Serve breakfast in the morning for us.
The breakfast was not good at the hotel. We never eat there.
No, but the coffee. Chili, we stole the coffee.
Yeah, you did, because we weren't signed up for the breakfast.
Oh, yeah, we weren't
breakfast was
signed up.
horribly
Yeah.
expensive. It looked terrible.
Yeah, we were not
That's
signed
terrible.
up to have.
Don't eat the continental breakfast. That's my advice. Even though sometimes continental breakfast can be amazing.
Go to the cafe down there.
But like, go get a pastry, get a cafe, and, be awkward, have an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. We'll
Yeah.
wrap it up and start with round 2 next time.